Do you ever wonder why you leave the grocery store spending significantly more than you intended to? Every time I leave the grocery store, I'm astonished at how much I actually spend. This is not an accident, as retailers put a lot of effort into designing supermarkets in such a way that it would enable someone to spend more than they originally intended to. My name is Danielle Iaboni, and this is my supermarket tour. The supermarket I decided to analyze was my local Walmart. Walmart is unique as it only recently started to operate as a supermarket. These Walmarts that possess a supermarket are referred to as supercenters. The Walmart at this location is perfectly fixated within a residential neighborhood, catering to all ethnic groups and various household incomes. For my tour, I chose to analyze the cereal aisle using the Going to the Supermarket chapter of the Supermarket Tour. After reading this chapter of the book, I was curious to see how this aisle was portrayed and where it was located within the store. I've been to this aisle several times in the past, but I was curious to see how the cereals were sorted and marketed, especially after reading the chapter in the book. I was excited to view this aisle in a different light. After reading the chapter in the supermarket tour, there were several things that surprised me. It was eye-opening to see that the relationship between food and the consumer is governed heavily by price. I had always believed that the supermarkets were a place to go and buy your food without having to worry about being manipulated. It was astonishing to truly see the distance between the field to the table. It is apparent how our relationship with food has changed, and this chapter opened my eyes to how in the dark we are, especially myself, when it comes to knowing where our food was produced. Finally, this chapter also brought to my attention the various tactics that supermarkets use to manipulate consumers. Personally, I had never noticed any of these tactics prior to reading the supermarket tour. Prior to my visit, I knew the food products would be isolated from the rest of the department. I expected the aisles to be neat and the shelves to be fully stocked and organized in such a way to attract consumers. In terms of the cereal aisle, I expected the aisle to just contain cereal. Upon entering the store, there were a few key things that grabbed my attention. I noticed there were various signs advertising a Walmart credit card and an incentive of receiving $50 off of a purchase when you sign up for a card. I also noticed that there was one entrance into the store, and that this entrance leads you right into the supermarket produce section. These tactics lure the consumer into the store, providing customer loyalty and incentives and one-stop shopping, all while governing where you begin your shopping. In addition, there were shopping carts right next to the entrance of the produce section. These shopping carts encourage the customer to purchase more, giving the perception that using the shopping cart for only a few items is a waste. I grabbed a cart and headed straight to the cereal aisle. It was apparent that the cereals were sorted based on age group. The cereals were also sorted by color, where the most vibrant colors were used for children's cereals. According to the OPIRG, products placed at eye level tend to sell better than similar products placed higher or lower. The products in my eye level were geared more towards adults, while the products lower, most likely at a child's eye level, were geared towards children. I also noticed that the healthy cereals had minimal shelf space. As I moved from left to right, the price of the products also increased, another tactic employed by supermarkets as stated in the OPIRG. As I continued to analyze the aisle, I noticed there were other products in this aisle other than cereal. There were many other breakfast items such as coffee, oatmeal, and pancakes. The OPIRG states that this method of product placement, known as boutiquing, encourages impulse buying. The next thing that I noticed was the quantity of certain goods. The popular cereals, such as Cheerios and Special K, took up a large portion of the aisle. The generic brands and health food cereals had very little space on the shelves. It was apparent that three main brands controlled this aisle. The aisle contained primarily General Mills, Kellogg's, and Great Value cereals. These brands were placed at eye level in the prime area of the shelf. Brands such as Kashi and the organic cereals had very little shelf space. The packaging on the cereal also caught my attention. For most of the children's cereals, the boxes had recognizable characters and mascots plastered all over them. The boxes were also bright in color, and the majority of them were orange, red, and yellow. These colors are hunger-inducing and encourage the customer to buy them. The brands also make use of prizes and giveaways within the boxes to appeal to children. The final thing that was intriguing to me was the appearance and atmosphere within the aisle. The foot traffic within this aisle was low compared to some of the other aisles, such as the produce aisle. The aisle was messy, and certain sections within the aisle needed to be replenished. Despite this, there was music playing within the store to keep the atmosphere cheery. According to the OPIRG, the music played within supermarkets is designed to reduce stress, improve morale, and encourage you to shop longer. The information provided in the supermarket tour was heavily prevalent within the supermarket. Nearly all of the tactics mentioned within the chapter were used within the store. The manipulation of customers and their families is clear when the supermarket is examined closely. Prior to reading the supermarket tour, I was totally unaware of the various tactics employed by supermarkets. After visiting Walmart, it was surprising to see how accurate the book truly was. And despite how obvious most of these tactics are, I felt dull that I had never noticed them before. In terms of the cereal aisle itself, it was fascinating to see that it was dominated by 3 major brands. After reading the supermarket tour and visiting Walmart, I definitely have a new view on supermarkets. Originally, I was under the impression that supermarkets were simply institutions for food purchasing. However, it's apparent that food is no longer a basic need, but a marketable item used for profit. This tour of Walmart reinforces the power that corporations have on consumer behavior, and how these corporations have a monopoly on the food system. For future grocery shopping adventures, I will definitely create a grocery list to try and avoid some of the impulse buying. I'm also going to do a bit of searching around my neighborhood for smaller shops to try and avoid the strategies that larger supermarkets use. Finally, after reading this book, I'm hyper aware of the tactics employed and will definitely be more aware of my surroundings. All in all, I really enjoyed analyzing Walmart and being able to make these discoveries on my own. Some of the key takeaways from this experience include: bottom shelves are accessible by children, thus these products appeal more to them. Sugary, cheaper cereals placed closest to the cash. Moving down the aisle, products become more expensive. Products at eye level sell more than those below or above eye level. Companies make use of hunger-inducing colors, and the store utilizes music to reduce stress.